Hi, I'm Don Simmons, and today I'd like to talk about the long arc of investing. In the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, British sprinter Derek Redmond was favored to medal in the 400 meters. Years of training had led to that moment, but halfway through the semifinal, his hamstring tore. He collapsed on the track and the race was over. Medical staff rushed in, the stadium went quiet. But instead of being carried off, Redmond stood up. In invisible pain, he began hopping toward the finish line. Then an elderly man broke through security, put his arm around Redmond, and helped him complete the lap. The elderly man was his dad. Redmond didn't win any medal that day. He didn't even officially finish, but the entire stadium rose in a standing ovation. That moment became more memorable than any gold medal, because sometimes renewal doesn't look like standing on the podium. Sometimes it looks like getting back up. Sometimes it looks like finishing the race when everything in you says to quit. History, whether in athletics, business, or markets, reminds us collapse is not always the final chapter. History teaches us something markets sometimes make us forget. Devastation is rarely the final chapter. Entire economies have collapsed and rebuilt. Cities have burned and risen stronger. Companies have gone through bankruptcy, restructuring, reinvention, and emerged more disciplined and durable. Volatility feels final in the moment, but over time, cycles reveal something deeper. Restoration is often woven into the fabric of reality. The Easter story captures this pattern in its most profound form. What appeared to be the end became a beginning. What looked like irreversible loss became the doorway to renewal. Since that first Easter morning, more buildings have been raised, more words have been written, more voices have spoken about Jesus than any king, conqueror, or philosopher who ever lived. The arc of the story reminds us that darkness may linger for a season, but it doesn't have ultimate authority. Sorrow can last through the night, but joy still comes in the morning. That perspective reshapes how we view risk. Short-term panic assumes the present moment tells the whole story. A long-term restoration mindset assumes there's more unfolding than we can immediately see. But renewal is rarely accidental. It often requires sacrifice. One ancient teaching says there's no greater love than willingly laying down one's life for others. You see, renewal comes because someone absorbs cost so others can rebuild. In business, we see this when leaders take responsibility in crisis, when investors stay committed through downturns, when partners shoulder loss to preserve long-term value. Restoration is born from courageous endurance. For investors, this raises a critical question. When volatility hits, do we default to fear, or do we anchor to a longer horizon? Markets correct, industries evolve, capital cycles, but those who build with patience and conviction often participate in renewal rather than retreat from it. This doesn't mean ignoring risk, it means interpreting turbulence differently. Instead of seeing downturns as verdicts, we can see them as chapters in a longer narrative. History shows cycles of restoration. And Easter invites us to adopt that long-term horizon, to recognize that what looks finished may simply be transforming. No matter what faith tradition you come from, or even if you claim none at all, I hope this Easter weekend brings you joy, renewal, and a quiet confidence that there's hope in the long arc of our lives, even when present circumstances feel bleak. Thank you for the continued trust you place in me and my team. It's a responsibility we carry with deep gratitude.